Welcome. I am Crimey Queen. If you are joining us for the first time, this is the channel where we have fun with words and numbers, numerology to be precise. This is where we actualize self-love for growth, development, lifestyle, of course, healthier lifestyle, mindfulness, of course, of the words we use and the numbers, and see how we can use the information on this channel or these presentations to optimize ourselves, basically. Okay, all right. Now, we have been exploring Genesis of chapter 1 and we're on verse 5. And I felt that it would be nice to encapsulate, just have a little summary of the numbers, the pattern of the numbers. Of course, I have done that on our templates to numerology or to actualizing self-love. I have done many presentations on that. So if you're not too sure how the numbers work, it's really, I'll just go through it briefly. Um, Basically, this is our template derived from the word sacrifice, and that was around Easter time of in March. And so far, this has just been like has just fueled us into further exploration of who we truly are. So perhaps there is something really profound about the element of sacrifice that one would live themselves, be selfless, and that's the story we get with Christ. Although I have had this notion that I don't think we necessarily need to buy into the idea that we really have to deliberately put ourselves through some sacrificial um, lamb position. you know but however, there is also that which helps to discipline ourselves in saying, okay, we can do from having a immediate gratification. And so that story in itself perhaps is the thing that it has helped us learn about ourselves, that there is a degree of delayed gratification that can serve our higher selves. There's the letters of the alphabet here, all in line with the numerical value. This is meant to be 7. Of course, we have squared this because it's on this path of the 7, and I have deliberately left it that way, that I believe that it's like saying the two gods, the God, the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And I believe that's where the two really meet. So the 7, when God had the light and he saw that the light was good, or whatever that was being severed was hair, and that is like an L hair, but it's really a 7 upside down. Okay. Um, Later on, I feel we're going to explore this because I believe there is some truth that holds that makes perfect sense there, because we see, for instance, we have had all these number 14 has been coming up, and 14 is really like two sevens. And here again we see the word 7 is actually 2. So when we do the numerical value for the word 7, we get 2. Or is it 11 or 2? Whether we add 1 plus 1 makes 2, but that's what it is. And we see that there is the balance in the word 7. But the purpose of this presentation here is to really highlight to you, well, this is Mother Eve. This is the divine feminine that we believe that beckons our attention now, that we are able to nurse the divine feminine. And for particularly for us female, we have got lost to some extent in that realm of the divine masculine, where we have seen or witnessed the helplessness and the degree of nursing that is required for us to come together and form that wholeness here union, have that L and the 7 together. And so this is what I am seeing is necessary here. But also we have been talking with emphasis to understanding Mother Eve. If we don't really understand the relationship with our mother, and which we have been taught through the scriptures that Eve had done an evil thing, like the word live is evil back to front, which is in essence it would still mean life, but we have learned to resent that aspect of ourselves. And now it is very important that we acknowledge who we are so we can function in the world adequately, nursing, helping, nurturing, providing, loving, healing, and embracing, receiving, giving, all those wonderful things that are part of our makeup, that we do not have to feel threatened when we are prompted to do that. So it's knowing ourselves that we can feel empowered enough to be able to exhibit those characteristics without fear, without feeling that um, we we do not count. And so it does beckon us to know ourselves here. This is one of the main functions of these presentations. And so I hope that with this that we can strike a balance where the male and the female can come together and form that wholeness, of course, which would really mean again, that is when God created the heavens and the earth in 6 days. On the seventh day he hallowed it. There was rest, meaning that everything came together, and this is what we are seeing now. There has been something that we have also witnessed, that we talk about how we have framed things in our world with square points. And looking at that, I'm going to do another presentation on that aspect of why we have these points. We tend not to see ourselves in that point, because we have, of course, because of the rigid corners or their points, and as if we as female don't really see ourselves or identify with it. But I think it is time we do that, and get to understand that by embracing that, then we can also create a softer touch to a whole dimension. All right, so I wanted, as I said, to really encapsulate what we have done so far with the numbers. We have seen where 5, which is the feminine divine, or the divine feminine. Sometimes I have my words, but it rolls like that, it is fine. So we have the in and the opposites, which is in and out, just like we have the L and the 7. Now L and 7 in its sense would be, L is a 3 vibration, 77, so 3 plus 7, that is 10, meaning that is what man is, man. When we do the numerical value for that, that's 10. Heaven is 10, hell is 10. So basically when we are in 7, whatever we see ourselves to be there, that's what we are. Okay, and there, of course, we see the light and the dark, and everything is really in balance here when we these things into account. Here, of course, we have seen this is the 13. We have seen the day and light, which comes to 5 as well. We have done this. The number 13 is really the evening and the morning, which is the day. So basically, again, I said the word day as in hours of the day, and the word they as in people or objects or whatever it is, have the same meaning. This is where we have been given the spirit of sound mind, and so that they also equals dots. It holds the same numerical vibration as dots, which is 13. When we add 1 plus 3, it also equals 4. So 4, it comes under that column here, This is 4. This is the 13 that forms the bond, and it comes on the number 2. This is where harmony comes in play. So this is where the two lights, the two great lights, will in this section here. For instance, God created two great lights. Then he called day light. So there we have daylight. Basically has been there is harmony because they relate to each other. And then the darkness he called night. Of course, we can see they have got a relationship. So this is where they come, they, what God created, comes into play. And the other aspect of this, as I say, is really getting a consolidation of what we have done so far with the numbers. So we see on number 1, Genesis of chapter 1. I'll just put this there for reference. So Genesis 1 to 5. Okay. All right. So Genesis 1 to 5, this is what we have. And so we see that the introduction or the consolidation of everything, because one in itself has everything that, or it's the seed. So that seed has in it everything. So it was heaven and earth. Of course, on 2 it was the movement. It was the manipulation, or I say godipulation, meaning because it was God creating. And in fact, I have got that word, godipulation, in my book. Okay, and actually, this is where there's the manipulation, because we are talking man language now, has been modified and um, to designing, and there they come in unity. So where the God had put, this is where he took the waters, and or his spirit stirred the waters, or Mother Eve was receptive of God's spirit being stirred and moved. So there was sex, there was unity here, unity. Okay, I think the word unity in it as well equals 8, meaning that would be unity. Yes, 3, 5, 9, 2, 7. So this is 9 and 9, 18, 19, 23, and 3 is 26. I have a splendid memory. So 2 plus 6, of course, in we know in the Torah as well, 26 is the number of God. So here we have 26, and God set. In fact, is God's description of in Genesis of chapter 1 verse 17, because God is 17. God is, this is 7 6 4, so this is 17. We can see this 1 7. This is where heaven is 1 and earth is 7, or that's the heart as well. Or hell, let's not disregard hell. Hell is 1 and earth is 7. So it's like saying God is both heaven and earth, or hell and earth. Oh, it's yeah. So, well, God is everything, we're told. Okay. Right. So basically, we can see how that 8 comes into play here. So 8 is that movement. It shows that movement. It's not showing that it breaks away, but it shows. So if we look at it in the form of unity in the number 2, of course, it's like showing two aspects of everything God created in 6 days came into harmony, like the left and right, the polarities. So the polarities was there, just like the waters and the Spirit of God. So number 2 is partnership, harmony, and unity and movement. Of course, there had to be movement, receptivity for one to acknowledge the other, or bonding, and so on. Number three is vibrations. Now it's got this is I've got this here as let when God said, "Let there be light." So there is movement to say, "Let there be." Something has to move, and then that is the vibrations. When we do the numerical value for the word vibrations, it's really three. Vibrations is three. Of course, that would entail in unity as well. But then there's the emphasis. This is where two things have come together, and you acknowledge those things, or you acknowledge the movement, or you acknowledge the process. That is in three. You acknowledge the breath, you acknowledge the breath, the nose, the two things. This is so basically three is really, like I continue to say, it is W, W, you and I. It's two, it's reflective. That's the word. It's reflective. And then it is also three, of course. It is also, let's do this. So three is three. It is also W, it is also M, and it is E. That is God. God is the eight petal flower, and you are as well. So God set. Now, we probably could look at anything and see how God really set. Like even here, these 4 points here. So this is four, but it has the other side to it, which would be four as well. There are different aspects to God, but we are just looking at this pattern here for now. So this is where we are. And of course, God, this is where He divided the waters from the firmament and the firmament. And I believe there was something to that effect. Okay, so number four. Now, there's where division was. I often observe birds. Because I'm a nature person, and I would observe birds, and I have always been fascinated with the way they would position themselves. So we would have a bird here. Okay, there's a beak, another bird here, and well, another one here. They're about the same space, the three, and then the fourth ones would be somewhere about here. I've noticed that. Now, it's not always the case, but I've wondered, I think, okay, the three seem to be going together, and then you see that other fourth one. Now, this is where I come to understand it's not always the case, I must say, but I see it often enough, that four is division. Now, because that's where God separated, or God created the two great lights. Could be our eyes, could be our ears, whatever how you want to put it, the two great lights, and of course, the two great lights. Now, just thinking, how would it be? Okay. And then there's division, there's the nose bridge, or whatever it is, there would be something for division. Okay, now we see the division as well. So this is, we are talking about position. So there is the north, the south, the east, and the west. And that's what we are. And we see that that's what Christ did as well. So Christ was here and got nailed on the cross, and his feet were together here. So that's where this is where Mother Eve is five. We know Mother Eve is five, but God was doing something here with the four. So He was not, at that point of four, He was not acknowledging. Now that is so profound. So that is so profound. Let's do this again. So God had done all the lights, he done the lights and divided them, he saw them. He was sawing things. So we see that, and he called the bright one, lesser one, the lesser one to rule the night and the greater one to rule the day. So we could say that is the sun and the moon. And that would have been in the fourth verse. And it was there God divided, and he saw that it was good. Made there was sawing there. When we say saw, he saw that it was good. When we see the word saw and we see the word was, we know there was some kind of laboratory experimentation going on. It because that was bringing into account the present and what was and what, well, the present and the past. The present and the past. So you would have to have the present to saw it, and then it was. So meaning that light was whole, it was whole, but then you saw it. That's what God did. So then it became modified. It had a different aspect to it. I like that. So there was the light, and God saw it. Let's do it this way. I think that makes because about the firmament, and one light was here. They're both in the sky, but one light here to rule the day, and the other one by night. Or perhaps we could put it this way. Okay, so the day would be in the east. So I think the first. It's always good to go with the first thing. Always, until you're proven otherwise, because there's the east and there's the west. So one light was here and one light was there. And we have these two lights to kind of show us. Okay, right. So basically, and God saw that it was good. Now it was good, meaning it was because good is five. The word good is five. This is going to take a while, but bear with me because this is also very delicious. So it's as if God was doing this experimentations or creation, let's put it that way. And he also wanted to ensure that it was as close as possible to the original script. So he saw that it was good. Everything is so clear right now. Everything. I mean, everything like in Eve, EVE, and then R, because the R with the Eve and there's R after Eve is that it's denoting beginning, because Eve is really like an end, a demarcation of the end, and then of course nine is R. Okay, ever. Okay, so and God saw that it was good. So the word good is 7664. 10 and 13 is 23. So 2 plus 3, and there's 23 on the clock. 23 minutes, 36 seconds. 23 is 5. Now, if you follow the presentations I've been doing before this, is that 5 in Genesis of chapter 1, verse 5, God seemed to make a point to really hold or honor Eve, in that sense that it is on chapter 1 verse 5, so it holds the number 5. And when we do, we add the day and light. When we add this together, 3 plus 2, that gives us 5. And we also add 4 meaning 31 plus 1 here for darkness, the night and the darkness, that also is 5. So it's as if anytime God said, now that is really, really delicious. So anytime it was said, and God saw that it was good. Now, there's the other thing. God saw that. The word that is 13. If you recall, this is what I've been saying. God have been using the number 13 as an incubator. That's what God has been doing, using the number 13. So he saw that it was good. Anytime we see the word that, it means, or the dots, he saw the dots. And we will see that there is a strong correlation with the same numerical value showing us that the 13, God saw that it was good. It another thing. So there's the other thing. Oh, this is so delicious. This is just the most delicious thing. It, the word it, and God saw that it was good. Hey, there we are. The word was and saw. Let's go here. SAW. That is 5, 6, 7. This is 7. This is 7. Then saw, of course, is 7. This is what I have talked about, that 7 and 7, this is where this is forming a whole. So God is cutting hair and hair. He saw that, but it's still whole, the two aspect, but he divided. But we could say when you have the two halves together, it is whole. Now, the other thing that I'm also saying here with the 13, he saw it, it, meaning IT. What we are doing here, it's a little bit like what scientists have been doing with cells, stem cells, whatever it is. I can actually equate it to that in a sense, in the sense that the more they have found devise an instrument to cut down and to the smallest particle to show truth, to show what is, they are able to do that. Now, this is what we are doing here with numerology. We are going to this particle, so to the it, whatever it is. Now here we have, it is 9 plus 2. Here, there, 9 plus 2 is 11. 11. So we can see how it is, meaning two aspects. Now, of course, when we do the numerical value for the word 7, 7 meaning like 7 is so. Yeah. So we do 5 plus 5, 10, 15, and this would be 20. So this is 2. It comes to the same thing. 1 plus 1 is 2 here. So we can see how everything is relational here. This word saw, God saw it was good, because remember, it's in 7 days he created the heaven and the earth. In 6 days, on the seventh day is mentioned. The seventh is another thing when we do the numerical value, but we can see what 7 is here. Now, and of course, there's the other point I was making is, he saw it was good. There's 2, meaning 2, he saw it was good. So there would be 2 13s. When we add 2 13s together, that gives us 20. That gives us 26. 2 plus 6 equals God. Now, I'm sure there was another way of putting this as well. And God saw, he saw that it was good, right? So it is 2. It is, so 2, he saw 2. Yeah, this is it. This is it. He saw it was good, meaning both of these God would have seen it to be good. Yeah. I'm trying to remember where I came with the 13. Oh, he saw that. And everything God did, he saw that. it was good. So he saw it was good, or saw that it was good. Wherever that is in any of the scriptures, we see that it is two that's. Okay, all right. So God was cutting things down. Okay, but we see basically God was like recreating um after after the great the great source or the divine feminine. God was recreating. There's the point that I really wanted to make, which was very profound, because, and I will do this. So when God saw that everything he created, it was good. Okay. Um, and I was saying that for verse 4, of course, there would be Christ, and there would be the hands, the nails, and then the 2 feet. I don't necessarily want to do a figure, but the 2 feet would came down. Okay, and we see that they were nailed together. The 2 feet were nailed together. We know how to think of this, so we don't have to think of because I really believe it's a story. Okay, so the 2 feet were nailed together. Actually, the number for nail is 9, and hand and all these. So this would be 9 hair, 9 hair, 9 hair, and 9 hair, and that would be 2 9s. 4 9s are 36. 3 plus 6 is 9. 3 plus 6 is 9, which coincides with the template of Christ's sacrifice. This is the thing. So we can see how the sacrifice comes here. And this is what I'm talking about. God, when he cut or saw, he saw it was good. The two great lights, he saw it was good. Okay, so basically we've seen that here. So he saw it was good, and this is the point. But this on number, and that's the division. That's the division point that God did here. That division, we see that he divided. I probably, if I can get the correct terminologies used here. Okay, just here. Yeah, and God saw the light that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. So that was where God divided the light from the darkness. Now we see um, light from the darkness. Let's see, light. Light is 2, which is 11, but equals 2, and darkness, D-A-R-K-A, we have this here, is 10. So, but God divided the light from the darkness. Now, and if we were to add this together, that would be 3. So we see how that 3 vibration becomes manifested. But and 3, of course, is divisible by 9, which we have 4 9s 46. So there is a division happening here, and we also see that this is coinciding with our north, our south, our east, our west. But what we haven't, what and God saw, this is the thing. But does it say in chapter in the 4th verse, does it say that God saw it was good? That's interesting. Let us just look at this. In verse 4, that would be interesting. That is interesting. So, and God saw the light that it was good. He saw it and it was good. Okay, that was the first drawing I had. And God divided the light from the darkness. So he saw that the light was good, but when God divided, that was another story. So the light, he saw it was good here. Good is whole. So there is the aspect of wholeness here in 4, but however, he divided the light from the darkness. That there's another, all in that fourth verse. So there's the intricacy of this, the essence of that, of what God was doing there. However, it is in verse 5 that we can recount that there would be the change of, there is the change, the 5-pointed star. Okay. Oh, okay. And this is where God saw everything, the light that God had divided, or the light, the day. It's as if when he called them. Now that's another thing. This is where he called. God called the light. It's as if, no, in verse 4, and God made or created. There he created. But then for verse 5, he called. It's like whatever he was doing, he had to call it by the name Eve. He had to call it day. He had to call it light. He had to call it night. And he had to call it darkness to be recognized as 5, which is the divine feminine, right here in verse 5. I like this. So we can see that there would be the feminine hair. It's like a feminine aspect of the divine hair. God would have to acknowledge the feminine divine as day and light, as night and darkness. And with the masculine, the divine masculine, this is where there were the two great lights. This is like saying this is where all the stories of the sons, like Cain and Abel, this is it, Cain and Abel, Jacob and Isaac. Um, so those were the stories, the two sons, one this way, one that way, or but the two sons, that's the gist, because there were two lights here. We are talking about the two lights. So the sons in this extraction that God did out of the waters, the extraction of the light that God did create out of the waters, because that's where he saw it and modified it, because the light was like, we could say it was pure, and God saw it. He saw the light, and then he created lesser lights as well, we know. Okay, so basically, this is really, oh, with now number 5, of course. This is where with number 5, like I said, this is the recognition. There's the recognition of the divine feminine. The divine feminine consists of everything. This is what we are getting here. The divine feminine consists of having that creative element, having the movement, having the vibrations in it, the divisions of positions in it, and the reconstruction and recognition. I think it's just wonderful. I love it. Okay, so the next verse, of course, and all this was actually on the first day. This is the thing. So basically, the first day, the divine feminine consists of everything that was, and everything was in the first day, because where we also learn that God created man in his own image and likeness on the 6th day. This is what we learn. But in essence, if we remember or recall from Genesis of chapter 1, verse 20 or 21, let's just do that. I keep saying thereabout, or 20 or 21, it's 20, where God called great, the abundant whales out of the waters that had life. They had life before. And of course, like I would say again, when Christ said, "Don't you know you are the light of the earth?" Meaning, from when God said, "Let there be light," we were light. We were the light. When God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. So basically, we have been very instrumental in the creation. We have been very proactive in that era of creation of God's work. It kind of reminds me of this that we are learning about the experiments of having two robots together and till they develop their own language. And that would have been something to that effect, I believe, happened between ourselves and God. And somehow we might have forgotten what the language was because, of course, there had been other entities that we had been associating with because, well, that's how it is. It makes perfect sense. I'm sure you'll agree. So, thank you for stopping by and watching. I hope you found this fun. I hope you found this empowering as well. And remembering, because this is really to help us remember who we are. And in fact, we may not never know the real gist of the no, but I think I'm going to refrain from the statement that I was going to make. We are light, we are light, we are darkness, we are night, we are day, and everything. We are the dry land, we are the waters. So we are that which we are. That. Thank you. Namaste.